Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's New in Civil 3D. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Tim, our application specialist. At today's webinar, we'll explore the latest features and enhancements in Civil 3D 2025. As usual, you can ask a question on the left-hand corner. You can ask Tim to revisit a step or ask any question. And in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find links to our social media, website, and YouTube channel. We post all of our webinars there at the end, so you can share with colleagues or watch it on your own time. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Tim. Hi, Tim.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Huli. Hello, everyone. I am sharing my screen as we speak. Okay, you should see right now you're seeing a PowerPoint. This just keep me in line what I want to show. I can actually demonstrate as well. I have Civil 3D going here. The first thing I want to do is show you a couple of features about AutoCAD 2025. Now, this webinar is about Civil 3D, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I do want to tell you about a couple of things that are really AutoCAD functions. Number one is the speed of the software. Opening drawings now, Autodesk says, is up to 2.5 times faster. I haven't pulled out my stopwatch to compare, but it sure feels faster, 2025. So I encourage you to check that out. Also, this next one, the B convert command. This is an AutoCAD function, but I think it relates directly to the sort of work that a land surveyor or civil engineer, a Civil 3D type user might need to do. Okay, so you're the surveyor, for example, and you've received a drawing from someone else, and they send you this drawing. I'm going to go ahead and open. And instead of sending points or Kogo points, etc., the points are represented by 2 lines that cross. You want points, or at least blocks there, right? Well, what you do is this B convert command. I can go here, B convert, select the objects. So I'll just pick those 2. I don't have to worry about everything else out in the drawing right now. The command's going to handle those. Okay, and I want to say enter. Those are the ones I want to use, which is, see how it says 79 total? So it found everything out in the drawing. What do I want to do? I want to create a new block, and I'll call it my point. Now, this is important. It'll automatically use the center point of geometry, or the geometric center of the geometry, as the insertion point for each block. Or you could say, use a particular point from the drawing, but that would do it for every instance. So this is what I want here, and convert. So now that is a block, as are all of its cousins here. Okay. So that's B convert, and it can convert a lot of, doesn't just have to be simple points like that. I'll show you here another example. I'm not going to open a drawing and go through it, but here's an example that I had made with a circle and a couple of lines representing something, right? And then you can go through and use B convert, and then you end up with a block that includes all those sub-objects. This slide really just talks about new features in AutoCAD, in that it uses multi-threading and multi-processing. It truly uses those features on your Windows system. Okay, and this shows you, if we're doing a particular operation, okay, tessellation of geometry, how does that happen? Okay, license acquisition, etc. This is just a chart showing that. Why is AutoCAD faster? Where's it faster, etc. Okay. All right, so I want to get into the details about Civil 3D itself. Okay. First is the enhanced level of detail. So if you're familiar of this level of detail setting, in old versions of AutoCAD, if level of detail was turned on, up here in the upper left-hand corner, you'd see that little glyph there. Remember that? That's gone in 2025. Now, level of detail can be set either for the entire drawing, like before, or it can be set on individual surfaces. That's what's new. So I go down here into my surfaces. I can set it for all surfaces by right-clicking on surfaces and saying high level of detail. That turns it off. That's like level of detail off in previous versions. Or reduced level of detail. That's like saying level of detail in previous versions. Now, notice when I do that each of these surfaces, because I set the setting for the entire drawing, it shows on the icon the blue saying this is affected by level of detail. I could individually turn off that surface level of detail. So now these two are level of detail dependent. This one is not. Or I could go back, turn them all off, turn them all on, and then of course, like I showed you, do individuals. Some of these middle two headings that I put in here, performance improvements when working with surfaces whose styles display contours. So Autodesk has recognized that the displaying contours, calculating contours, etc., that had to happen on large surfaces was too much time, really. And they've recognized that, and they've made big improvements there. So things like opening a drawing that has a large surface with contours turned on, any surface editing operations, when you change surface style, etc., you can see there. They've also done performance improvement when dealing with corridors. Okay, the dialog boxes happen faster when you click things. They respond more rapidly. I don't have demos for that. It's really a feel sort of thing that you'll experience as you're using the new version. Corridor creation, and you've all seen this if you've done kind of more complex corridors, is, when it has to rebuild a corridor, it can take some time. Well, that's now faster, okay? And that creation of corridor surfaces is faster. And then also new are the Esri maps. If you're using the Autodesk online mapping through Civil 3D or AutoCAD, you now have choice, not just the Bing maps, but also you can access Esri maps. And I'll show you that here in a moment. Okay, here's my detail sheet on level of detail changes. And I showed you those, but I did want to point out this part of the slide here. These are new commands. if I want to set all surfaces in the drawing to high level of detail, I can do all surface LOD high. Or this would have me pick a surface and apply low or high, etc. Okay. Okay, the Esri maps. Now this drawing has been set up and set to a coordinate system, California 83.6 US foot. Okay, so I'll go here to geolocation and say, oh, I want Esri OpenStreetMap, and it turns that on. So it looks like we're going to build this project out in the middle of a, what is that, a marsh or something? And there's other options. Here's the Esri imagery. Oh, it doesn't look so marshy now, does it? Just going to replace some dirt bike tracks. Okay. I also, during this, wanted to revisit a feature that came out with Civil 3D. I think it was actually like 2023.2 something or 2023.3, but it was definitely in 24. And that is this new functionality of corridor transitions. This is different than targeting. What this does is this lets you take any subassembly parameter and transition its value over a period of time, okay, to do the transitioning. So like in this sample you see here, I've taken the curb height and gone from the full 6 inches down to 1 inch, and then went over at 1 inch for about 20 feet, and then back up to 6 inches, and then continue on. And then I can copy and paste those settings along the alignment, okay? And I'm going to turn my map off. So I've got a corridor here, right? Now I went in ahead of time and added some labels that tell me some stationings that I want to use. Okay, so let's grab the corridor. Oh, those are 3D solids. Let me use this correctly. Corridor, there we go. When you pick the corridor, you'll see on the ribbon, Edit Corridor Transitions. Now I've got a bunch I already did. I'll go ahead and remove those so I can show you. Okay, so here I am. I come in fresh, and I want to create corridor transitions. And what I want to transition is the curb height in my curb subassembly. Okay, all this looks good. I'm going to create a new transition set. Need to watch my command line. Select a subassembly. I'll make that a little wider. Okay. Subassembly by name or class name. Well, what they're saying is zoom in here and be able to pick the subassembly you want. I want urban curb gutter general, which you see on the tooltip, it's telling me the name of the subassembly I'm going to get if I click right now. and then what is it that I want to transition. Now I checked ahead of time, and D is the curb height. Okay, so it says start station of the transition. Now, since I'm going to be replicating this and making edits and things like that, I find it easy to start at 0. Let me look at my F2. Didn't like my 0. Okay, so let's give it 100. Okay, the parameter value. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a curb height, right? It's showing me the default is 6 inches, and that's what I want to be at station 100. Okay, the end of the transition then, I want to make that, we're going to go 2 feet, so I'm going to make that 102. And by the time I get to 102, I want to be 1 inch. Okay, the transition is linear, that's cool. Okay, now you'll see, I'm going to move this over. I know you can't see my other screen. Okay, now I can continue transitioning. So I want to be 1 inch for 24 feet, say, right? So the end station here, I went to 102. So now I want to go to 126. And the end value at 126 is 1 inch. And it's linear. Yep. And then I want to do another one that goes to 128 and goes back to 6 inches linear. Okay, hit enter when I think I'm done, and then up on the dialog you're going to see there's an apply button. That applies the transitions. It adds cross sections where those transitions happen, etc. If I pick here, I can see the entire transition. I can pick each of these sub-segments. Okay. Now, this whole thing is called a transition set. What I want to do is lock it. By locking it, it locks the relationships between these different subsections of the overall transition set. Okay, so now I could go in and say, well, if my start station is 50, can't go that way. Okay, so if I went up to 200, notice it went to 202, 226 automatically. You can also take a group and copy transition sets, and then come in here and paste transition sets. And you could paste a few times if you wanted. Okay, so I'll take this one. I'm going to move here so you guys can see the screen better. Okay, so I want to take this one, and this is my last one. Okay. And I want to move that up to 500. So then I can take this and be able to move this, say, to 3 plus 50. And this one I'll leave at 2 and apply. And now I have spread that transition, the drop curb for driveways, to those various different stations I wanted. I could have come in and looked at the stations I had here, but I got anxious. Okay, so that's corridor transitions. That lets you do, you could change your catch slopes to make them wider, narrower, steeper, shallower, etc. This one here is interesting. If you use the subassembly composer to build custom subassemblies, well, used to be that if you made a change to your subassembly from subassembly composer, you had to go export it and you had to import it onto your tool palettes and do all this BS to get it into a drawing where you're using it, even though you may have previously been using it. Well, now when you import subassembly packet files, you can link to those packet files, okay? And that way, if you use subassembly composer to make a change to your custom subassembly and you resave the packet file, Civil 3D drawings will automatically know it and you can tell it to update. That's a pretty big deal for those of you that do custom subassemblies. And this last slide just talks about a little bit about grading optimization. If you're using this, there's a couple of things here. They have now, instead of cut and fill constraints just by subsite, you can do global cut and fill constraints. There's also some automatic feature line naming. So that way, if you're doing drainage, it has a different name than ridge or something, right? Okay, that's the end of what I had to talk about today. Happy to entertain any questions anybody might have.
Thank you, Tim, for this wonderful presentation. I wanted also to talk about our upcoming webinars. We'll have on July 18, maximizing efficiency, 10 time saving tips for Revit MEP workflows. And then on July 25th, we'll have Volt Essentials, 10 must-know tips for seamless integration. And then on July 31st at 11 a.m., we'll have efficient water planning with InfoWorks ICM. Also, just wanted to remind you all that if you want to learn any of these topics in detail, you can always take a custom training with Tim or someone else on our team. And yeah, if we are not forgetting anything, I don't see questions at the moment. So please feel free to contact us in case you have anything you forgot, or if you want to check for our online classes. And we also offer custom training. You can take it with Tim or someone else on our team. So yeah, we want to be sure to check the MicroCAD website for future webinars. And again, we have the registration section on the right hand. You can just go ahead and check the webinars we have and register. And even if you cannot make it, you will get the on-demand recording. So yeah, I would like to thank you, Tim, and thank everyone for attending.